Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR prepping. So good morning, welcome back to the channel, welcome to the channel. We're just gonna get right into it this morning. I'm just slowly waking up. We finished the chicken coop. At least we finished the outer shell, the outer run of the chicken coop. I'm gonna go ahead and upload the video of the completed project on MAMABEAR Homestead today at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it will be about an hour after this video drops on this channel. There's so much more that I want to do to the chicken coop. So basically, I'm going to drop that video and then I'll just bring you back at a later date as we do the other add-ons and the other things that we want to add to it, right? To enhance it more, right? We've just got the shell done and I'm going to bring that to you. Things are going well on Patreon. Thank you for those that have joined me over there. First video dropped yesterday. Talked about a pretty heavy topic. I really enjoyed myself, and I'm enjoying having a platform where I can really connect more with you guys, some of you, and I can be free about how I talk and not think so much about the words that are coming out of my mouth like I do when I'm over here. Now, today I want to get into this year and what to expect and how to navigate through that. It's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people. I think you are going to have a lot of people kind of join the fold in regards to, hey, things are tough, things are happening, and you know, how do they adapt to that? How do they ensure that their family is going to continue to be successful and their quality of life? And so you're going to see more people that are seeing these things. What I think is going to happen is I'm basically just going to break down the different things that I think we're going to have to deal with this year and maybe just some ways to battle that. So the first thing I have is just panic, right? This could be in the form of panic buying, but panic because something happens and because you haven't prepared, you're not really ready for it, right? I mean, this could be something as basic as a storm. People, like even with the weather that we've been having, it's been crazy for people, and you've had every single time the shelves get emptied, the stores get cleaned out, people panic, and people get their things. And the thing is if people actually prepare for the things that they know may come their way, then you don't have to be out in the ruckus, you know, getting last minute stuff, cleaning the shelves, and then everything's gone and there's not stuff for just everyday use, right? So it, you know, panic in general, panic buying, panic in regards to things happening to them that didn't expect, job loss, stores closing maybe in your area. You're used to going shopping and things are closing down, and so that closes down options for you and your family and what you are able to get and not get, right? Just panic in general of what is going on. Panic in the way of not thinking you have enough to get you through whatever it is you need to get through. Panic of not having enough money to then get the things that you want to get or simply pay bills, right? The panic of, am I going to be able to keep this roof over our head, keep the lights on, make sure there's food on the dinner table every night, that there's lunches in the kids' bellies, that there's breakfast, that there's snacks, that there's stuff for the pets, that there's stuff for like just to make sure that you can keep it going, right? And so there's panic with people where the price is going up, nickel and diming, everything across the board, and you get to a point where it's like, I don't have any, I was already living check to check, and now I'm in the deficit. Like, I really just don't have this money. And maybe you were savvy for a little bit, and you know, you turn some stuff off, and you know, pull back your spending on certain luxuries. But baby, people are panicked and they're hurting and they're struggling, and you're going to continue to see that panic as we move through the year. The next thing I think we're going to definitely see an increase in is crime. Absolutely 100%. What is disturbing is, you know, I say that loosely, they like to insert children into a situation to make us pay attention, right? When things happen to children, when bad things happen to children, we pay attention. People pay attention to that. Whether you're a mother, father, or not, people, that tugs, right, in here, right? And so, you know, when you see stuff with children, they're dying with the virus, whatever, right? Different things that they've used to just try to use children against us, right? Future viruses, it's going to affect the children more. They try to tug at us because of children. Crime is no different, right? Now, crime has always been there, but what I'm finding interesting lately is there's a lot of crime that's centered around children that's being reported. And I'll give you some examples. Some examples are, just in the last week, obviously there was that big shooting with that 6-year-old, right, that brought a weapon to school and you know, deliberately, you know, shot their teacher. And that was crazy, right? That was like a whole crazy thing. I actually had like a really deep conversation with my 13-year-old about that whole situation with his 6-year-old. And I was actually floored with the thought process of what he was thinking and his, just the development of understanding and discussing and articulating. And it was an amazing conversation. That's why I think it's important that you talk to your children about everything, right? But this happened with the 6-year-old. And just this morning, I saw another article of another young baby, really toddler, wielding a gun, and then the father was arrested. So I find it interesting that we're in a dynamic where we're seeing more children with weapons, and it makes me think. It makes me go, why are they showing this? Well, we already know they want to take, you know, 2A away and all of that. And if you insert children and children, you know, dying and getting hurt and getting access, and it just puts that in that seed in your mind that, hey, this is a problem. The kids are getting the weapons. We've got to get rid of them. It's just another avenue of approach for, you know, what it is that they eventually want to do, right? So just something to think about when you're seeing this stuff splashed over and over on your feed, right? Of course, what does it do to us when we see a school and it gets, you know, there's a mass shooting and it's just heartbreaking, and it will make the best of people reconsider their rights. You have the right to bear arms, and even something like that last really big school shooting, that makes the best of people start getting on board with, well, maybe we do need more crackdown on this. Maybe we do need to take away certain ones. Maybe we do, right? And so kids is how they get in. So expect more of that and expect crime to go through the roof. That's not going away anywhere soon, because when you have a country in turmoil, you have people starving to death, homeless people don't have a place to live, can't pay their bills. You have all this heartache going on. Crime is going to happen, okay? Because you have soft crimes, people doing stuff and thieving to be able to survive. And then you just have flat out people trying to run the streets and be crazy because there's not enough cops or whatever on the streets. They just don't care, and they're going to run rampant because that gives them something else to feed into instead of thinking about their life and what's going on with it and how to turn it around, right? Virus. I think you're going to see way more uptick of virus. I've said this in a video before. I think there's going to be a comeback with COVID this year. Just in general, still hearing a lot of reports, and I know a lot of people feel a certain type of way, one way or the other, of whether the reports we're hearing from China are even true, right? For so long, they did not give us numbers. And I was like, you know what? This junk started over there. Now they're trying to cover it up. And now they're trying to cover up really the numbers. From the beginning, they didn't want people to see how bad they were getting hit with it, right? And how bad it was, right? And just recently, supposedly, they're sharing their numbers now. And it's like, you know, it's these huge numbers, like 60,000, you know, passed this month from this. And in retrospect, I mean, you would look at that now and be like, that's crazy. Like, we don't have that level of death. Other countries don't have that level of death, right? And you're like, so what is going on? Is there something new that's going on over there? Is there something new over there that is going to make its way over here? And we are going to be dealing with that. What exactly is happening over there? And is it even true? Because they went so long, literally a couple years without putting out data at all. And all of a sudden you want to share it. But I saw a report, yesterday or today about their numbers. Their death numbers actually came out, and it's like 900,000 or something supposedly from the year before have passed away. Now, as we know, though, these things that people are putting in their bodies are not safe. And so who knows truly what these deaths are. You know, the person could have developed other things that's actually taking down their body, right? But at the time of death, you know, they were sick. And so it's written down that, well, they died from COVID. Not to mention all the stuff that's happening in their bodies from whatever else, right? I just think that we're going to see more of this. I think you need to keep your head on a swivel. Just kind of be watching. Drink your coffee, watch your news, listen to your resources, do your research. If you see something, maybe do a little research on your own on the internet, kind of see and get a pulse and keep your finger on the pulse so that you kind of understand what's happening. That way too is you kind of keep a pulse on this, right? That's kind of a simmer over here. It's not really that big of a deal anymore. We're not really talking about it. We are slowly starting to talk about the deaths and the side effects and the things like that. But then again, that's whatever. It's main media. Who cares, right? Who knows what the truth is? They're just trying to feed a narrative of whatever that is. Come to find out, they're only mentioning all this because they're about to push some meds that supposedly will help all these side effects. Like, it's just ridiculous, okay? It's too much. But keep your head on a swivel, because these are the times. Could you imagine if something else comes knocking on our door virus-wise, and we're not ready for it because we're dealing so much, or we just dealt with this, and a lot of people are complacent and they're just not ready for it. They're just done with it, right? But COVID is still here. I think it's going to make a comeback. You need to be just head on a swivel and be paying attention to other stuff in the news that happens that has to do with disease, okay? Next thing I have is more deaths. This is going to start touching more people. The farther forward we move with it, the more death you're going to see, the more it's going to start to individually touch us. If it hasn't already touched you, because some families have been touched just by COVID deaths in general, right? Their family members got COVID and passed away. Some people have been touched because, yes, these side effects, these blood clots, these cancers, all sorts of folks getting cancers that are advanced and getting cancers that, quite frankly, would take years to kind of develop, are advancing within months, and people are being diagnosed and then passing away within months. So all this stuff is kind of happening, and so I do see it has to come to the forefront eventually. You cannot ignore all these deaths, and so it's going to come to the forefront eventually, to where main media wants to talk about it finally, even though the rest of us know that it's happening. But you need to be ready for that mentally, that is going to happen, it's going to increase, and that's potentially, the more it goes forward, so many people were vaccinated, it's going to touch you and your family, right? And to be ready for that, okay? The other thing is less food, right? Less food choices, less, certain brands shutting down, certain brands taking stuff off the shelves, as far as certain flavors of stuff, certain items, cutting back what they're offering, just less food across the board. And the food that's left, baby, is higher prices. You're going to pay for it. Eggs right now, out of control. I've probably received a picture from a subscriber, different subscribers every single day this week about eggs and egg prices. I probably could do a video just on eggs. Eggs are too much, right? Prices are going up on a lot of stuff, and it's just insane. Now, we've been dealing with avian flu for a while in our country, on and off, probably for the last 6-8 months. And there's been bouts where people talk about it, and articles where it's talking about it. But it's bad, right? There's a lot of stuff going on with the birds, and not just, it's weird stuff, because it's not just like chicken houses, right? It's not just certain locations of birds, and maybe they migrate and give it to another bird or whatever. But yeah, it's flocks of different types of birds all over the world, right? So it's kind of sad, right? But this is what they're blaming it on, is this avian flu. And because they're saying there's the shortage, and then the shortage is driving the prices. And it's just crazy, because an egg is such a simple, beautiful thing that has so much protein and is so good. And you got to think, where can you get your eggs? And I think that there's options, is what I'm saying, right? And these situations are good when they happen, because they help people open their minds of what's their alternatives. And I think that that's the word for the year, is what are your alternatives? What is the next thing that you can do that, when you deal with something? You're dealing with an egg shortage now, you're dealing with these you know, crazy prices. You guys love eggs in your family. What do? Okay. It might not be, oh, you go get chicks, you go get chickens. I mean, chicks take 5 to 6 months before they're laying eggs, right? We still don't have eggs. We're at just over 5 months right now. We don't have eggs. So that takes a while, right? So maybe that's not the answer right away, to get eggs right away. Local people, I know a ton of people. I don't have Facebook. Bay still has Facebook, you know, and he shows me all the time his friends of his that have retired or whatever, and they're in random different places in the world, right, in the States, and they have eggs galore. They got chickens and they're farming and they're doing all these cool things. Like a lot of military people, that's what we do. We go to the mountains, or we go to some land, we get some animals, and that's the life we want to live when we retire. And so a lot of his friends, and he's constantly showing me them of just crazy eggs coming out their ears and how they're selling them, and they're going on marketplace and they're selling these eggs, right? So what are your alternatives is what I'm saying, right? Are there other stores where they're not as expensive? Is there some local market type places where you're able to get eggs? Are you able to go on marketplace or look at where the local farmers and local people are selling eggs? There could be somebody so local that it's like an urban place. It's an urban house. It's not even like some kind of farmer or something, but she's got her some chickens, baby, and she's got too many eggs, and she's got a little post like, hey, come through and get, a dozen eggs from me. And so what are your options? Is there other options for eggs in general as far as protein? Of course there is. Is there other bird options that lay eggs that are a different option for you? A lot of folks have other, like quails and stuff that they keep indoors. They don't even have them outside. Nobody knows they have them. They're nice, clean. They keep them in a cage and they eat the quail eggs, right? And they're smaller egg, but that's how they do it, right? So there's different things that you can do as far as alternatives. So I think the word for this year is, what are your alternatives when you hit a wall or you hit something, right? Meat prices are going up. We often switch what we're eating off of the prices and the sales and the things like that. I'm often canning right now off of what's on sale, and I'm canning it. And then maybe at one point, pork goes through the roof, and I'm like, man, that's hurting my soul to buy that. Okay, we'll just eat pork off the shelf for a while, and we'll use the money on whatever it is that's on sale, another meat, okay? So what are your alternatives? What are your other options that you can bring to the table to navigate through stuff? And I think that if you know how to adapt and you know how to sit there and say, okay, what's going to be the alternative? If we don't get this item anymore, what's the alternative? What's the alternative to panic buying? Preparing, getting the stuff. Think about the last storm when you ran out and you got gas and you got your propane tanks filled and you got water and you got food and you got all this stuff, right? And you were like, I'm ready. Well, right now, think, what did you do? What did you use? What do you need to stockpile? Fill those holes, get all those things as if a storm's happening, right? In the next couple days, and get all that stuff. And then it's there. It's ready, baby, for that storm to come. You've already done it, okay, before the storm came, right? It's just like people who prepare for winter. They know winter's coming. They know there's certain things that they have to do, weatherize their home, chop wood, get their cords, stock up stuff, right? There's certain things that you have to do. Make sure you have your snow shovels. Make sure you have your gas for your powered snowblower. Make sure you have your salt. Whatever it is, just make sure that you have the things because you're preparing for that. And so the only thing is continue to move forward, continue to push forward with preparedness and being ready for the event, for the thing to happen, for these changes to happen. But think, what are the alternative? I'm not going to buy eggs right now. What's our alternative, right? Is there somewhere cheaper I can get them? Maybe I'm pulling out some freeze-dried eggs and we're going to eat those if we want to eat eggs so stinking bad. Or maybe we're not going to eat eggs for a couple weeks and we're going to see what happens with these prices. Or maybe we're going to introduce our own, egg producers into our family and say, screw the store-bought eggs, which is what we're trying to do here. And we're just about a month, maybe 3 weeks, hopefully away from that, okay? But think about, think about the excitement of getting ahead of the things that we know are probably going to happen this year, that we know we're going to have to deal with this year. And there's a lot more things than what I discussed today, right? But do your inventories, you know, get things organized, get prepared for the things that you know for a fact are coming or that you deal with, like natural disasters, and then start stockpiling for the other things for long term, right? And what are your alternatives, right? When I stockpile something, let's just say eggs, for example, we have eggs galore, right? We have some store-bought eggs left over in the fridge. We bought the chicken, so we're waiting to have fresh eggs. We have freeze-dried eggs that we've bought. We have freeze-dried eggs that somebody freeze-dried for me, a friend of mine, and mailed to me. She mailed to me. Thank you, sister. You know who you are. We have number 10 cans of freeze-dried whole eggs and freeze-dried powdered eggs, right? We have frozen eggs that I've frozen and put in the freezer, and so that I can just take those out of the freezer and make them, right? So there's different ways of keeping said food. Like, what are your alternatives to this food? Maybe it's the alternative eggs, not at all, and it's just, okay, how are we going to replace this protein that we like to eat every day, right? So just think about what it is. It's the same thing with potatoes, for example. Stockpile potatoes. I pressure can potatoes. We have, and that's different ways. I have French fries. I have roasted type potatoes. I have some half potatoes done. Then you have potato flakes. You have, you know, freeze-dried potatoes. You have number 10 freeze-dried potatoes that are diced, and then you have some that are shredded. So you have shredded potatoes, you have diced potatoes. You have potatoes that we grow, right? So we have continued to grow potatoes that you're growing yourself outside. What else? Frozen potatoes galore, right? Cut potatoes that are frozen, diced potatoes that are frozen. It's just 1,000 ways to, you know, store and keep potatoes, right? And so I think that it's important that you ensure that you're looking at, what are my options? What are my alternatives? I run out of one thing. How can I shift it and still have that product or that thing in my life, right? And I think if you do that across the board for everything that you prepare for all the areas, you'll be in a very, very good state. We talked about fuel on yesterday's video. We have so many different types of fuels that it gives you options for whatever the scenario is. If, let's say, you're cooking indoors, you're cooking outdoors, but maybe it's raining, or maybe, you know, there's all these little other variables that could determine like your circumstances. And so having those different alternatives, having those different options of how to fuel different things is important. Plus, it makes your storage, your stockpile, so much longer because, you know, okay, I'm not keeping 1,000 propane bottles, right? But if I have a little bit of propane, and I have a little bit of butane, and I have a little bit of liquor, and I have a little, right? And you have all these different things and ways to do things. It makes that stockpile so much bigger, right, than you possibly think it is. Instead of just stockpiling one thing, and then one variable takes that one thing out of commission, let's say, and then it's no good. You've got just so much of this one thing, and then it's not doing you any favors for whatever reason, whatever happens, whatever variable gets introduced into the problem, right? Or to the situation. So I hope you guys are well, be well. I just hope that everybody had a nice weekend. We had a really, really nice weekend. It didn't rain a whole lot. It was kind of clear. It was more cloudy than anything. But I hope you guys are getting some dry days as well, getting some time to get outside and get into the fresh air, and do some things, start planning, start, you know, it's time to think about the layout of those gardens, start going through your seeds. You know, we're close to starting seeds for some people. Just start doing the planning right now. Start doing the research of the time to start stuff. When's your last frost? What are all the things you plan to grow? Write out your schedule, write it through the summer, going into fall, and remember to get, you know, that you're getting all the tools and all the things that you need so that you can just start and not lose any time for ample growing of food, right? And remember, the goal this year is more food. That's the goal every single season. How can I introduce growing just a little bit more food this year? Just a little bit more food. So if you're advanced, you have a garden and it's established, What can you do this year to just add one more plot, one more something, or make one of your plots or one of your growing spaces maybe going vertical and you can grow more. The goal is growing more food this year, okay? So I love you guys. I'm excited that you guys are here and that I'm staying here. I've gotten a few messages about, I thought you were leaving. I'm not leaving YouTube. I just got rid of the YouTube memberships. If you want to support me in a monetary way, Patreon is where you go. Also, Patreon is where you go if you want to go and get unfiltered, uncensored conversation on different topics. That's what I give you over there that I can't give you over here, okay? So you guys be well, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye.